Can we pretend that airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars?
Yes, we can.
Whatever happened to Bob?
He started believing in flat Earth.
Did he really?
He started believing in conspiracy theories, and everyone was like, don't want to work with him anymore.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
2023, the year of movies, because there was a lot of them.
Another.
But actually, not a lot. Just a lot of good ones.
A lot of good ones.
Yes.
A lot of bad ones.
Yeah, it was either good or bad.
Yeah, there's not a lot of in between.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple good in betweens.
Aquaman.
I don't know. The year that really blockbusters really took a nose, or what were supposed to be blockbusters.
Supposed to be blockbusters. Instead, the blockbusters of this year were high concept things from movies that would have been successful in the 70s.
Yeah.
Are now successful again.
Yeah.
So what is old is new again.
Always is. What time is a circle, man?
Time is a flat circle. Russ Cole was right.
He was right, wasn't he?
If this is your first time viewing us or this list, hello. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Basically, what we're going to do, Zach's going to tune in later. And we got to work on the
Zach's
satellite
list
feed.
Was so bad, we said, you can't even be in this room.
That's not true.
It's not true. He's just a busy guy.
Yeah, he's so busy. So busy. But we're going to tune in the satellite feed.
Yep.
And it'll come in. But basically, we're going to touch on a couple movies on our list. Then at the end, we're going to reveal our top 10. But we're also, if you don't know, we have an 11th pick because we're THV 11. So we have an 11th pick. We used to call it by a previous name.
Yep.
But we're renaming it this year.
Yep.
Which is going to be, hopefully this will come up on screen. Michael, if you're editing this.
Put it on screen.
Put it on screen. The first and only Craig O'Neill Annual Award for Cinematic Achievement.
Yes.
And now, even though it says cinematic, doesn't have to be a movie.
Nope.
Could be anything.
Legit anything. Could be a song.
As long as it came out in 2023. That's the only rule.
Yeah. Yes. I think we should just start number ones because we have to talk. We need to get, my number one is part of.
Yes, you should start.
Yes.
You should start then.
Because really, if there was two movies that kind of defined this year, you know what we're going to say?
Barbie.
It's Barbie.
And
Oppenheimer. And we have both on our list.
And I think they weren't on Zach's list at all.
At all. Which
I think Oppenheimer.
It had to have been, right?
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is my number one movie of the year. It's just, and really, I think I understand there are flaws there, but man, is this just like, the more I think about it, the more I sit with it, this movie's incredible.
Yeah.
Like what he's able to do, not just with, like the Trinity test, I get it, it rules. It's not even the best part of the movie. Yeah. It's like that last hour of just weaving so many timelines together as he does so well, but doing it without being a gimmick. It just kind of crescendos into this big moment.
Yeah.
And the point of the movie, and it just looks great. The cast is insane. It sounds awesome. It's just another like 3-hour epic. Like let's just keep getting these 3-hour epics.
Yeah, it's a blockbuster, 100%. Because there are moments where he very much takes what he learned from the Batman movies, like Oppenheimer gets his like suit together and dumb things like that. But also it's about a complicated dude who maybe shouldn't have helped create the bomb, but his hubris and his ego was so large that he had to do it. Yeah.
Oh, and just really, I think I'm like laying the cards out. I think Cillian is for sure getting nominated. Definitely going to get like, I think he's going to win. There are talks that this is the year that Nolan takes it home, for director.
Yes.
Or maybe Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that like Barbie was the pop culture part of it, and Oppenheimer will be the like it lives on and it goes and gets almost every award.
And there's people in it that you didn't think were still in movies.
Josh Hartnett. Yeah. Like it's just what a nice surprise. It is also like we all knew that Barbie was gonna break records.
We didn't expect it to be that much.
We didn't expect it to be that much.
Yeah.
But we were all kind of like, maybe Oppenheimer gets a little bit of a bump. I don't think we were expecting overall like it to just dominate like it did, and which makes me excited. And again, you have to talk about the Barbie of it all.
It's a callback to like the 60s musicals where just like back in the day, they just gave huge budgets to musicals, and they went crazy. They went wild with it. And so Greta, in her letterbox, whatever, she gave a companion list of movies to watch, and it's just chock full of all these classic Hollywood movies. And you could see that in Barbie. And obviously everyone goes to Ken and Ryan Gosling because he just crushed it. But it cannot be forgotten that what basically all of the Barbies in the movie do is amazing. Like Margot has an existential crisis, similar to Oppenheimer, in that the two big movies of the year is about an existential crisis.
Yeah.
And we're 3 years removed from a worldwide existential crisis. So it's really great to see that the reflection of the world, you have the pessimistic view in Barbie and you have the optimistic view, which, as you know, in 2022, the biggest movie of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once, was about the two sides of the same coin. Barbie is sort of the similar thing, but it's also about learning and growing because Ken's whole journey in the movie is like, he's a dude bro.
Yeah.
And he has to learn that going after a girl is not your personality.
Yeah. That's
just sexism. You're treating her as a trophy when she's a human too. Well, technically not. They're dolls.
But yeah.
But yeah, so it's saying a lot of things, but on the surface, it's very easy to get into.
Yeah.
But when you watch it a couple more times, you're like, this movie rules. It just rules straight up.
Well, and I think shout out to Margot for not, I mean, she's great as Barbie.
Yeah.
And I think because she's so perfect, she kind of gets left behind in the talks of like the performances. But I mean, she is the producer of this movie. And so she scored Greta.
Yeah.
Who then scored Ryan. It's like without her starting it and pushing it up the hill, like it doesn't end up where it's at. And so to me, it's just huge for her that like, yeah, like we can talk about Greta, we can talk about Ken, we can talk about all those people, but like it is Margot who was like, no, we're gonna do this right. And I know, and there's interviews like she's like, no, we're not budging from Oppenheimer's release date. No, we're not doing that. And so, yeah, it's just fun. I love that it's also like, it's not explaining things too much.
No,
it really isn't that vein of like, hey, Tom Hanks finds a mermaid on the beach. We're not going to explain it to you. And so it feels like a little bit that too of like that. No. There's no, like, we don't have to explain like where the magical world comes from and why, Ray Perlman is a ghost, old lady ghost. It's just a good time. Just a good time.
Whereas you contrast that with the blockbuster movies like The Flash and the Marvels, and they do a lot of hand-holding in those movies. Yeah. And that's part of the reason I think there is superhero fatigue, is because there's too much hand-holding.
Yeah.
It's like, trust your audience sometimes. Yeah. There's a whole reason Barbie and Oppenheimer took over this year. It's because they trust their audience to understand the story. Since we're talking about Margot Robbie, I want to talk about Asteroid City, because she's also in this. Wes Anderson, all through the years, has basically perfected his style. It's this very twee, center frame type stuff, even though technically it doesn't do center frame.
Yeah.
It's always a little off kilter. But this one is like a beautiful marriage of claymation, CGI, and his just, real life stuff. It's about an alien invasion, sort of, but not really. It's basically just about like dealing with loss and grief and all these things. But if you look through his filmography, this Asteroid City has as much in common with Rushmore as it does, like, all his other movies that came out recently. But in this one, he breaks his style. And, you think that everything's like, steady camera, moving shots, everything. He goes a little nutso in this one.
Uh-oh.
And especially in his short films that he had on Netflix, he really breaks his style in that. And so I think, people are writing Asteroid City off a lot. But at the same time, I think it's one of his best.
I've heard like real Wes Anderson fans.
Ander fans.
Oh, Ander fans. Wes heads,
Wes heads, yeah.
They love this movie because it does feel it's new, but also feels very reminiscent of like the Wes that we've kind of missed.
Yes.
It's like French Dispatch, okay, Isle of Dogs, okay. Like we haven't really had like a banger Wes movie until this year.
If you've not watched it, the Jeff Goldblum cameo, if you've not been spoiled, it's probably the best It's probably the best thing in the world.
I haven't seen any.
And Jeffrey Wright's great in this. And, he's got American Fiction as well. Hasn't come out in our area, our neck of the woods yet. So it could have been on our list.
Yeah.
But, well, hold on. I'm getting word. He's in the car. Okay. Zach, we're going to take you live in the car. How you doing?
I couldn't record with Michael and JD because this year has been sick with good movies. And also my wife definitely has the flu. So the first annual only Craig O'Neill Cinematic Achievement Award, whatever it's called, I'm giving it to a genre, which is the return of the studio comedy. At least it kind of felt like that. We had like 4 or 5. We had Bottoms, No Hard Feelings, Joyride. This was the bread and butter of Hollywood, and then it died. And this year, there was like a smorgasbord of pretty solid studio comedies. And I'm hoping that this is a trend that continues because it's my favorite genre, and I think the world would be a better place if we had more stupid comedies. On my list, you can see it right here. I assume it's on the screen. It's weird, kind of dumb. A lot of dad movies, even though I'm not a dad. Also on my list is Air. This came out early in the year, and I loved it. Ben Affleck directed about how Nike took over Michael Jordan and also the shoe industry in general. Really, really, really solid movie, crowd pleaser, loved it. Nothing I would change about it. It's fantastic. Oh, The Blackening. I loved The Blackening. This was kind of a studio comedy. It's more of a horror comedy, very low budget. It's so much fun. I saw it in a absolutely packed theater on a Tuesday, and it was by far the best experience I've had in a movie theater in years, probably since before COVID. It's a blast. If you love comedy, if you love horror movies, it's that. It is so much fun. Cannot recommend it more. Also on my list that I guarantee would be on Michael's list if he saw it, The Iron Claw. The Iron Claw is the true story about the Von Erich family. It's incredibly sad. If you know anything about the family, really depressing. Incredible performances. I personally think Zac Efron should be nominated for Best Actor. I don't think he's going to win it, but it would be amazing if he had a nomination. He deserves it. So does everyone in this entire movie. The number 1 goes to The Holdovers, which I firmly believe will be a Christmas classic soon. Probably now. You should watch it now, even though it's not Christmas anymore. It is a warm blanket of a movie. It's hilarious. It's heartfelt. It'll make you cry as much as it makes you laugh. Paul Giamatti should win Best Actor. I would vote for him if I was in the Academy. Paul Giamatti needs an Oscar for this movie specifically, but in general. It is amazing. Perfect movie. I didn't want it to end. Unlike Oppenheimer, where it feels its length sometimes, The Holdovers is a little over 2 hours, and I want it to be 8 hours. I would watch this nonstop. It's so good. 2023 has been an insane year for movies. I think it will go down in history as one of the better ones. 2019 was great, 1999 was great, and 2023 was great. Because Barbenheimer, obviously. Barbie's on my list. I'm sure someone's going to be talking about Barbie. Everyone talks about Barbie. Anyways, 2023, great movie year.
Some would say there were 10 and 11 things on that list.
What me and you have noticed, looking at Zach's Letterboxd, he gave out a lot of 5 stars this year.
A lot of 5 stars.
But this man loves movies. He is, in many ways, he loves a movie.
We can't fault him for that.
No. And if you've watched our videos, he will give movies that even he doesn't like too much, like 3 stars.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If you don't follow Zach on Letterboxd, it's
a wild ride. Sometimes
fun.
he will just log stuff that he's barely watching.
Yeah. Which makes me think, should I be logging things that when I watch like a compilation of clips on YouTube, like just go ahead and log that?
I don't do that.
Yeah,
I watch a lot of compilation clips, but
Fincher's back.
He's back. Yeah.
He's back. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it.
But it's a fun watch.
Did I love The Killer?
Yeah.
And I love it even more because you watch it the first time and you're like, okay, that's interesting. And then you start thinking about it and you start realizing, man, Fincher's hilarious.
Yeah.
And
it's a comedy.
It's a comedy. When you look at it through the lens of it's a comedy, it's awesome.
It's a comedy about a complicated man.
And that it is probably not Fincher's most autobiographical because Fincher is not a Killer for Hire.
Yeah.
But just like the meticulousness, the kind of what Fincher's become known for. It's like this is clearly him being like, "Hey, I know what you all say about me."
Would you consider this the best comic book movie of the year?
I think it's up there, but I think we both have it.
No,
you don't have.
I don't have Guardians. No.
Oh no, I was gonna say Spider-Man.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have Guardians. I think Guardians is really good.
Yeah.
But I think the one goes to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's because it's just
Guardians and Killers are close. 2 and 3.
Yeah, but Spider-Man is like just an incredible piece of art.
Dang.
You got a couple that I don't think anyone really has on their list.
No, I'm gonna go to my 11th pick, my Craig O'Neill pick, before I talk about Killers. I'm gonna talk about one of the Black Mirror movies from this year, which was the premiere of the Red Mirror, which are more horror inspired. Yeah. Demon 79. It's got Papa Essiedu. It's got a couple other people. They're mostly like British actors doing stuff we get to see. It's basically a girl having a meet cute with a demon trying to stop the apocalypse. And it's very cute, but also funny and gory at the same time. And it's the type of horror movies I like, where it's silly, goofy fun, but at the same time you have this existential dread. I mean, that's a common theme of this year. Yep. But you have horror, you have blood, gore, all that stuff. I mean, it very much feels like an homage to Evil Dead and those types of movies, but also it's doing its own thing.
Yeah.
It's not like any other horror movie I saw this year.
That's how I feel about Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Not my Craig O'Neill pick, but
no, yeah.
It's like not enough.
It flew under the radar.
It flew under the radar, and it's just really fun, really charming. They don't. It's another like they don't make them like they used to kind of movie. Yeah. If I had to pick like a Craig O'Neill Cinematic Achievement Award, we've already talked about Barbie, and we've touched on Ken. And while like we could easily give any award to Ryan Gosling's performance,
yes,
I think there is one moment that stands out so much to me that it's ingrained in my head forever. And when Ryan Gosling starts singing "Push" by Matchbox 20,
yes,
and it starts, and this is not just credit to him; it's also credit to Greta, who the way that it's shot,
and Noah,
yeah. And that like you're playing this song, like he's playing the song in a house, and it cuts to them, he's still playing it on the beach, and then it like pans out, it pulls back, and like every Ken is playing the same song to their respective Barbie, and it is the hardest I laughed in a theater this year, and his version of Push, which you can listen to, I think like on Spotify or Apple Music, is so funny that like I can't even listen to original Push.
It was like seeing it was an Infinity War moment for real.
It was. It was an Infinity War moment for millennials of like Gosling singing Rob Thomas.
Let's go to our list.
Okay.
I'll go first because I want to just touch on Flower Moon, starting with the D&D movie. Honor Among Thieves.
Really good.
Really, really good. They Clone Tyrone, also really good. Showing Up, Kelly Reichardt. If you've seen First Cow, it's not in a similar spirit, but Kelly Reichardt is one of the greats. Asteroid City, Rye Lane, Across the Spider-Verse, May December, which everyone's talking about right now. Another comedy that you don't realize is a comedy. Yeah. Oppie, Barbie, and then Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm a Scorsese fan all the way. I'm a stan.
Yep.
My tea's gone cold. I'm wondering why. Because Scorsese tells me why. And the fact that he went into changing the whole arc of the movie, him and Leo, right before the movie started. Like, they were at the end of pre-production. And then they flipped it all. And Molly Burkhart's character, Lily Gladstone's character as Molly Burkhart is just... You see it through her face. You see the pain. You see the heartache. And it's just a wonderful movie that, yes, it is through the eyes of the oppressor, but it does not glamorize them in any way. They are evil throughout.
And this is another, like with Fincher, that like stop idolizing that Goodfellas. Stop idolizing Raging Bull and Taxi Driver.
Yes.
Like, these are terrible people.
Yeah.
And without spoiling the ending, like the last thing, it's like, it really is like a punctuation note of a career of like, listen, these are bad dudes. It was hard. It's hard to decide between Oppenheimer and Killers, especially I've had more time to hang with Oppenheimer. So like, it feels like the pick I should go with. Where in 5 months I'll be like, I've watched that ending on YouTube maybe 30 times. Like, and it's
there's a lot of good number ones.
Yeah.
I will say this is one of the harder years to pick a number one.
But yeah, so at number 10 I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Great soundtrack. My daughter loves this movie. Are You There, God Save Me, Margaret? Kind of touch on that. Really great. Anatomy of a Fall. Just watched this a couple days ago.
Just finished it, yeah.
Really interesting. And it is a movie that you have to like sit down and think about to really nail. And then we got The Killer, Talk to Me. Was one of the few really awesome horror movies we got this year. Then Barbie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Past Lives, which I think this is going to sneak up on us in Oscars. And then Killers of the Flower Moon and Oppenheimer. I mean, what a year.
Oh, look at that.
That was cool.
But yeah, so a lot of movies about complicated characters that you should not like.
Yep.
But also movies about characters growing, Ken and Barbie being a prime example, but Past Lives as well. Showing up as well. I mean, there's so many good movies this year. I've seen a lot of top 10s, and a lot of them are very different.
Yeah.
All three of ours are different.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is a great time to be a cinema fan.
Yeah.
Because the movies feel like a real movie.
A real movie. It just feels like a movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I don't want to like just prey on the downfall of like superhero movies and Marvel.
No, because I like them.
We like those movies.
Yeah.
It's documented very well here that we enjoy those movies.
Yes.
But it is just really cool that we're like, yes, while there's IP in our lists, that really the only superhero movie is one that is just an incredible cinematic achievement.
Yes.
And well, I mean, unless you count Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which they are, I guess, superheroes.
Thanks for tuning in for another year. Next year, who knows what we're going to do? And we'll come up with some crazy ideas. What was your favorite video we did of the past year?
You know, the cake one is fun, but nothing. I don't think anything will beat the two of us just having to binge all 5 Twilight movies.
The Twilight binge was hard.
It was rough because we talked about it for months, and we said we're not going to let it sneak up on us.
And
guess what? It did. And
just like a vampire in the woods, it snuck up on us.
Just not just the video, but also the enjoyment of because we sit next to each other at work. That we just middle of the day, you'd be like, so like the werewolves are.
I didn't understand a lot of the movie, but that's okay.